Alright then, boy, a happy blooming Halloween to you. I am suitably slapped up in my spooky makeup, we have our super spooky candles, and Hood is dressed as a pumpkin, so we fulfilled our Halloween quota. And what better time of year to run over some of my personal favourite horror moments that growing up as a child made me think, yes indeed, that was a horror moment. Now to clarify, not every one of these is a pant-wettingly terrifying moment, it's not a jump scare fest either, just things that have stood out to me over the years. And it goes without saying, obviously, that this is my own personal list. So if you think I'm a massive pussy, you can let me know in the comments down below. So with that being said, roll the super spooky intro.
Diablo, the first installment in Blizzard's dungeon thieving trilogy, released in big box badass PC version in '96. I was a mere babe of 7, and this is one of the earliest memories I have of being very frustrated at a game and, dare I say it, slightly scared. Now this wasn't for the overt horror tones of the game, I actually liked the opening cinematic scenes. Lovely eye-pecking crow, tension builds nicely, crazy trippy sarcophagus, then the big payoff, Diablo himself. He still looks quite impressive here actually, unlike when you see him in the game. But anyway, it's a specific moment in the game that I'm talking about, and that would be the Butcher.
The Butcher.
Now, to understand why this was on the list, you need some context. Butcher is a demon who kills people, butchers them with his cleaver, etc, etc. All standard demon-y things. No, this isn't the scary part. It's that he's so hard to beat, and you are so very unprepared at this point to beat him. Let's set the scene. Lovely peaceful Tristram, go and meet the locals, everyone loves you, funny jaundiced village drunk Farnham.
And a fellow drinking peace?
Everything's great, safe zone. But the Butcher shows up as a quest in level 2. Up until this point, the scariest things you've had to face are spooky skeletons, zombies and facehuggers, or scavengers, whatever. They go down with a few hits max, so you've got the full spell of Billy Big Bollocks fully cast at this point. Oh, the Butcher, how quaint. Mate, meet my sword and die. But then this happens.
Fresh meat.
Yeah, the Butcher is hard, mate. And as a puny level 2, you got no skills. You might have a cap and a sword, or a magic cap if you're really lucky. The Butcher laughs at your magic cap. So now you gotta flee in a mad panic. That won't work either, the Butcher is quick. He will relentlessly chase you down on his tubby red legs. And the worst part is, he doesn't go away. If you make it back to Tristram somehow to have yourself a little cry, you come back again and he's waiting right there for you. Think you can run away from the Butcher? Butcher's gonna get you. Think you can close the door on the Butcher? Butcher's gonna get you. Think you can run to an iron gate and shoot the Butcher through it with your bow? Alright, that might actually work, but as a kid, I was too busy dying. Yep, once you open up that door, like a big fat red genie, he ain't going back in the bottle. Man, I forgot how much I hated this guy as a child. And it took me a while to realise I was going to have to level up before attempting that again. I wonder what Farnham makes of the old Butcher baby.
Big cleaver, killing all my friends. Couldn't stop him, had to run away. Couldn't save them. Trapped in a room with so many bodies, so many friends. No!
Resident Evil 1, yes, an absolute classic survival horror, and having not played anything like this before at this point, it was my go-to for the genre. Released again in '96, I had this at the same age as Diablo, and after all these years I've literally just noticed the cover has spiders and evil faces on it. I always thought that was a camo tent in the background, and remember thinking that was quite odd, so that's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway. Again with this game, it's a specific point that was scary, but here's the background. You take control of either Jill Valentine or Chris Redfield, members of the STARS crack task force, investigating a spooky zombie mansion on the outskirts of Raccoon City. Soon you become trapped in said mansion and all hell breaks loose. Now the game itself obviously had the whole horror thing going on, but this was cool back in the day, blasting zombies' heads off with magnums, killer crows, terrible acting scenes.
Mary!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
And even that first zombie appearance is actually pretty cool, albeit rather dated by today's standards. No, this wasn't the problem. It was the dogs. And not just any dogs in any scene, one specific scene. Not this one either. This was cool. Blood, gore, etc. Now we'd all got together, me and my mates, for some super spooky gaming sleepover or some stupid thing or other you do at that age. You know the score, midnight, lights off, scary game, all having a laugh at the stupid zombies, fearless, untouchable lads. Then this scene happens. Ah, dogs! Dogs scream! Glass panic! Ah! I'm being bitten! I'm being bitten everywhere! Unexpected horror moment. No, as a child, this was not good. Not good at all. Fatal Frame 2, or as I always knew it, Project 02 Crimson Butterfly. Now we're jumping ahead a few years to the PS2 era, 2003, now slightly older and wiser, a horror game aficionado, a hardened veteran of scary games now for many years obviously. Or maybe not. Project 02 was my first real foray into an Eastern set survival horror, and a brilliant game it is too. You play as Mio and her sister Mayu, who stumble across a seemingly abandoned ghost town out in the woods, which they decide to explore, as you do in the Midnight Forest. You come across the camera obscura, and this is your main weapon against the many ghosts you'll encounter. Yep, you're fighting ghosts with a camera, bloody deal with it. Oh, and incidentally, if you'd like to hear more about the story, here's a little video I did on it last year, tagged at the end should you want it. Shameless plugs out the way, let's see why it was scary. This game really knows how to do atmosphere. It plays out somewhat like a mini interactive film, with some great writing about how the tragic inhabitants met their end, brilliant use of music and sound effects, and a really thoroughly unnerving atmosphere throughout. The real kicker though is that to fight these ghosts and damage them, you have to get real close to them with the camera. Or let them get as close to you as your nerve will allow, that is. As you explore the various buildings, ghosts will often corner you in tight spots, or jump out in terrifying ways at you, like this broken neck ghost who pops by to horrify you out of a box in the corner. A lot of the time the game will force you to do something that you know will lead to a pant-wetting confrontation, and its masterful use of sound effects and unsettling score really amplify the terror of this game. It's the first time I've really experienced a game that really goes out of its way to terrify and scare its audience, and to force you to test your mettle. It's akin to walking through a haunted house attraction. You know it's going to make you jump and there's something waiting around the corner, but you still can't stop yourself. Scaring yourself is the whole fun of the game, and I was hooked. And as a bonus to the game, here's a true little horror story from my past relating to it. I'd been playing the game on my own now for a while and thought this was brilliant. I've got to bring this round my mate's house and show him. So that's what we did. On a cold December evening with the curtains drawn and the lights off, we decided to try and complete it in one night. About an hour in the silence of the room besides the glare of the TV and the eerie soundtrack, we heard a faint rustling noise. Putting it down to our imaginations, we played on, when again we heard it from the corner of the room, by the bed, a scratching, scraping kind of sound. This time, unable to ignore it, I paused the game, turned to my friend, and just as I opened my mouth to say what the fuck, I felt a cold, slimy object gently touch my right elbow. I shouted out, then jumped up, turned on the lights. We both span round and, to our horror, discovered Milo the dog had pushed open the door and had attempted to lick my elbow. So there you have it, some nostalgic horror moments from the past from me. But do let me know some of your favourite horror moments down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this episode, do subscribe to my channel for more of the same. And for some super special extras and unique rewards, head over to my Patreon if you'd like to support the show. A thank you and good night.